This isn't about the immigrant itself. I think that's the thing that gets lost in the media a lot. That massive flow of humanity on the border gives the cartel this like pretty much free distraction. But not only is it free, they're charging the illegal aliens. So now they're making money while the illegal aliens are providing a huge distraction. They overwhelm law enforcement. And then the cartels just hold the criminals that don't want to be fingerprinted, anybody that wants to avoid law enforcement, and the narcotics until the second wave. They wait until law enforcement's completely overwhelmed, and then literally that's the 1.4 million documented gotaways. They just bring anything they want into the country because literally there's no more cops on the border. That is what I keep testifying about. That's what I'm trying to bring attention to, that this is a real national security threat. It's not about whether you think the country should have more immigrants or not. It doesn't matter if you think the border's how they should be open or not. It's making sure that you understand the second and third layer effects of these decisions. But right now, we literally have a border in chaos. 6 million undocumented, 6 million, illegal entries into the U.S. where Border Patrol has actually apprehended people, but that doesn't take into account how many people have actually entered. I'm just trying to bring awareness to that so we can have an adult conversation about, is this really how we want people entering our country, and then what else comes with them?
Well, I believe in the hearing it was referenced there are 1.4 million known gotaways. So what does that actually mean?
Thank you for asking that question too, because that's also misunderstood. So as the Border Patrol gained control of the border systematically, again, over my entire career, we're getting it better and better. We are deploying not only technology, but we are also building in processes where agents routinely, on a systematic process, we're going out to parts of the border, looking for footprints, figuring out what's going on. We call it situational awareness. So the Border Patrol is getting better and better situational awareness. Those known gotaways are times that we actually have evidence on camera, or agents saw people cross, or you saw a truck come through. But it's factual. We know over 1.4, and now it's actually about 1.5 million times that people have made it into the United States past Border Patrol, because there's evidence. What that leaves out, though, is there's hundreds of miles of border that we don't have any technology. When the border wall construction got shut off, that was a border wall system. It had a bunch of technology going in with it. All that technology got shut off as well. So there's huge sections of border where unless there's an agent there, we have no idea what's going on. And then now the massive amount of illegal immigration has resulted in Border Patrol agents pretty much processing the illegal aliens that were caught on the last shift and or transporting them, but it's leaving hundreds of miles of border wide open. What Americans need to understand is that 1.5 million known gotaways doesn't account for any of those hundreds of miles of border where we have no idea what's going on.
Okay, and there's no estimates there or that you're aware of, or?
It's really hard to estimate. People want to do it all the time, so I won't do it, just because literally it's an unknown. And I don't believe that's Border Patrol's job per se, but this is what you should ask yourself. How easy is it to find fentanyl in your town? How easy it is for someone to find cocaine? How many illegal immigrants are in the community where you live? That's the unknown. I mean, we know 1.5 million, but it's the narcotics and all these other commodities that shouldn't be here. What is the price in the local communities? Start asking some of the law enforcement officers in your community, because guess what? It crossed the border. The vast majority of illicit narcotics crosses the southwest border. Or, by the way, it's the United States Border Patrol, not the southwest border. So we're supposed to be patrolling the whole country. That personnel is pulled from other areas as well, the coast, the northern border. There's a bunch of vulnerabilities. I can't put a number on the unknown, but I can tell you from my personal experience, it's way higher than the known.
Okay. Well, so there's a bunch of things that were said that sound a bit hyperbolic to me. I just want you to clarify. And one thing you even said, you said, there just aren't agents at the border. Okay, so that seems a bit hyperbolic. Of course, there are some agents at the border, but like, what's happening with those agents, and how is that different from the time when you were serving, for example?
So people have to understand the southwest border, and we'll talk about just that for a minute. Almost 2,000 miles of border. A lot of it is very, very rugged. If you're in Arizona, even in Southern California, once you're out of San Diego, right on the edge of San Diego, it switches to mountains. So if you have a camera, for example, that camera might be able to see 40 miles, but it only sees 40 miles worth of ridge tops. It doesn't see down in the canyons. It doesn't see on the other side of the hill. So we don't have enough technology to cover the entire border, even in areas where we have agents. And I'll use San Diego as an example, just because people kind of understand that. You may have, let's just say you start your shift with 100 agents in that entire area. Now, a good portion of those, on average, about 20% never leave the station because they have to do processing, fingerprinting. They're doing a lot of the administrative stuff, but you have some more running transport. However, the minute that the agents apprehend a group out in the field, depending on the size of that group, all of a sudden, they're no longer patrolling the border because let's just, for example, what we're encountering now, 1 or 2 agents encounter 50 people. They're driving a Chevy Tahoe with a cage in the back that only allows you to put 3 people in it at a time. So they are in remote areas a lot of times. They have to transport those people out of the remote area to where they can get to a larger passenger van that usually is only 12 people. And that takes hours just to get that group of 25 or maybe 50 out of those remote areas. That will wipe out several people for an 8-hour shift. So if they were originally responsible for patrolling 5 miles of border, now that 5 miles of border is open. So you replicate that across the southwest border, but once you get to Arizona, for example, or even New Mexico, many times 1 or 2 agents are responsible for patrolling 10 or 15 miles by themselves, a very remote area. And they're farther away, there's not a big community, so you have more time to actually apprehend people. We call it a vanishing point. How much time do you have between an illegal entry and an area within the country where they can disappear, whether it be a highway or housing or whatever. However, when you're not there at all, that whole math problem goes away. So it's not uncommon right now for the cartel to push a group of 100 or 200 people across in remote areas like Columbus, New Mexico, and that will wipe out an entire station for an 8-hour shift. What that does is it leaves about 75, 80, up to 100 miles of border completely unpatrolled for that next 7, 8 hours. That is happening again and again, but the cartel is controlling that. By allowing this massive amount of illegal immigration, we've allowed the cartel to decide when are they pushing people over, how many are they pushing over, and how long will the border be open. They're the ones doing the math and the strategy now instead of us. That is the real threat with mass illegal immigration.